Welcome to Project Gravity Well. Today we're going to be looking at gravity itself. We're going to see if we can't build it. What is it going to take? What fields do we want to use? Is time dilation a part of it? It's a pretty interesting concept. So let's look at our first idea of how to do this. Now, we want to create cavitation within spheres. Just like the Earth itself has multiple layers, let's do the same thing. So we got 3 that we're going to work with in this project, and we're going to counter rotate them. So this one will go this way, this one this way, this one this way. Pretty easy, right? Counter rotating spheres. We're going to have to put that on a rod here and a rod here so that we can get them to rotate like this. Now we're going to have to put energy here and energy on every single one of these spheres. So what type of energy we want to start with? Well, the basic understanding would be to put magnets. If we could put magnets on every one of these, both sides, well, we get a magnetic field. A lot of people think that our magnetosphere is simply magnets rotated. So let's try it. We're going to get a field that builds out from here. But I don't think that's the only one that we want. You see, we're going to want to put some exotic fields in here as well. So we're going to create static electricity on every one. So the reason that we're looking at static electricity in this project is because we know things cling to it. So if you put a sock in the dryer, pull it out, it'll cling to your clothes. So we already have some form of gravity. Now, is that gravity in itself? No. Obviously it's not. But it is a step in the right direction. We're going to be able to take those socks and stick them to this thing and have some form of gravity to it. But now can we go more? Do we have another field that we could put in this that maybe holds those things in? Because static electricity by itself is a mess. As soon as you create it in your experiment and rotate it, it's all over the place. So do we know of any energy that would hold that in? The answer is yes. We created it a little while back. We take our Tesla coil here. We take the rod down the center. And we get a negative radiant energy. That right there, when placed on the outside, will hold this field in. But placed on the inside, it pushes that field out. So where do we want to put this in our project? It's perfect right here. You see, this energy has some qualities to it that not many energies have. You see, it goes through everything, and it builds out like a cloud of gas. So as it does that, the energy will penetrate every single layer of this whole thing. That's exactly the kind of energy we want. Now, does it penetrate the static field? The answer is yes. So, depending on the amount of energy that you put into your Tesla coil, it'll either push the static field or it'll push past the static field. So, in a lot of the instances, we're going to want it to push the static field. But in some instances, we want it to push back. You see, the outside, we're looking to create a field out here just like the Earth does. Now we have the right kind of energies. I know in most projects like this, people would go, let's just put in some DC voltage, we'll put in some AC voltage, and we'll get there. Well, I'm sorry, but the Earth itself does not put those in because they're man-made. We're going to look at the energy that'll be made by the Earth. I do believe that negative radiant energy is made by the Earth. We know there's some form of radiant energy. We have an ozone layer. It doesn't get there by itself. So this is the closest energy that builds out that way. That's why we're using it. AC and DC won't help us here. Not unless you're talking about it in the static form. So the question comes, how are you going to run all these wires everywhere? You see, that's the interesting part about this. I don't necessarily have to run wires everywhere. We're going to get creative in this project. That's what makes it really cool. Now, we'll just take this half here. Yes, I'm really bad at drawing circles. And we want to create a cavity in each one. So what are you going to do inside that cavity? Well, interesting fact. When you put sand in a PVC pipe and you close both ends and you rotate it and you add energy to it, you get static electricity. It's pretty interesting, isn't it? We can do that here. We can fill each layer with sand. And we can get some static electricity. The extra energy comes from here. As it interacts with it, we should be building more energy. It's an interesting concept. It's worth trying. Will it pan out that way? We'll have to see. Will we have to add static to it itself? Maybe. But it's worth the first shot. If we can create the static electricity without wires, wow, that's amazing, isn't it? That's one less wire we have to run. Now, where's the other one? You see, inside here, you would say, well, you're going to put a wire down the center? What if we just took it in a different concept? What if I simply made the rod conductive that goes down through the center of my Tesla coil and rotate that? Would that put the energy directly in here and rotate this sphere at the same time? But see, that's pretty interesting, right? Two birds, one stone. The power we need without running a bunch of wires. Now this is the initial concept of this whole thing. If we can run it in this way, it's going to be so much easier to build out. What are we going to have to do first? Let's model this thing. Let's put it in a CAD program and let's build it out. The easiest way to do it, build each sphere, make sure we put them in plastic, put the little spots in for every single magnet, and then let's go ahead and make this part right here for our Tesla coil with a motor on top. We'll put a motor on the bottom down here so that we can get our rotation. Seems fairly simple, right? Build it out, proof of concept, make sure everything rotates properly, make sure we can put the energy in there without it boiling over to other parts that we don't want it in. So we are going to have to isolate here and here and here that energy. And right here. You say, why would you have to do that? Well, if the energy builds out like a gas, right? We don't want it in that rod itself, but we do want it through the rod down to the bottom in that sphere, right? So isolating it and forcing it down is going to be exactly what we need to do. Simple concept. We will take a hollow brass rod, and we'll put like gas tubing over it. Like for your fuel tank for a car. Yeah, pretty silly, huh? But it should do the trick. Very thick, very well made. It'll go right over top of this, hold the energy in, push it down. That'll isolate our system. We'll use an aluminum rod on the bottom, solid, and that will just do the rotation. Now, that'll get us our counter rotation and put the energy directly to where we need it. Now we have something we can work with. Sorry, it looks like a mess now. But if we can get this thing to counter rotate, we can get the energy to put into it, get it to go to the center here. That center pushes it out. We can build a field out here. Now, we can take our field dynamics that we learned from a gravity flyer and apply it to this project. So let's understand the concept. When I built the gravity flyer project, it did something strange. And because it did, it'll lead directly into this project. You see, we took the rod down the center of the Tesla coil and we made a sphere out of it. Then we took static electricity and ran on the outside. What happened? It pushed the static electricity out. But when we did it in reverse and we put the static on the inside and the rod down the center of the Tesla coil to the outside, it held it in. You see, that's how you build fields. It's a proven concept. It works every time that I turn on that gravity flyer, and we can flip it back and forth. Now we're going to play on that action. Like we said earlier, hold it in, push it out. Which area are we going to go in first? That's really what we got to decide. We're going to get the magnetic field. We're going to get the static field. Now we're going to get the radiant field. The radiant field builds out as scalar. So we know already in the spheres themselves, we have the right concept. Now let's be honest about this. We may put it all together and it does absolutely nothing. And I can live with that. But I don't think that's the case. You see, we already know the field effects is going to happen. We already know that we're going to get a magnetic field. Are any of them the things that we want together? I don't know that yet. That's the whole beauty of building a project, isn't it? Find out exactly what's going to happen. Where do I see this project going? Well, I think like everybody out there in every one of these projects, aluminum, bismuth, aluminum. Each layer, building it out, the aluminum itself, the distance between each sphere is harmonically balanced. That's what we want. We see this in the thunderstorm generator, where he takes his spheres and makes them in harmonics. Every one of those harmonics creates a ball lightning or a plasmoid. And that's what we want. We want to be able to create that in our project. Now that's further down the line, I'll give you that. But we got to start somewhere. We got to push the envelope of understanding this. Now, what's the time dilation factor in this whole thing? Well, that's the most interesting part. You see, our Earth's fields themselves, as they counter and cross like this, they create a time dilation. If we build this thing out in the right way, with both the fields, the static and the negative radiant, we might just get time dilation. That's going to be an awesome thing for UFO builders. But let's not go into that just yet. Let's just stick with the gravity. The stated goal here is by the time we're done with this project, I want to be able to take a pebble and have it stick right on the surface of the outside sphere. I also want to take a drop of water and do the same thing. If we can do that, we can prove out gravity. That's going to be pretty cool. I think it's an interesting project. I think step by step by step, we're going to learn something. Every project teaches you something. That's what we want to do here. We want to build things out, test things, prove them. If it works, it works. We have something we can bring to space and create gravity in space. Do we know to stay away from certain things when we build it later? Yes. But it's ultimately something that helps humanity. And that's exactly what I like to do. Anyway, thank you for tuning in today. I appreciate it. And I'll put up some pictures of that CAD project here. I already built it out. I already have the direction going, and I'll show you those. With that said, have yourself a great day. Before we get out of here, I just want to let you guys know that I offer memberships on my channel now. It's a really cool thing. I do behind the scenes stuff. I give you more information. I also put things out early on it. All of my Fringe Think Tank Star Trek episodes will be on there. I just put out another one, a number 7 episode. Also, you're going to get emojis on there that you can use in the live chats. They're pretty cool. And as we grow our membership, I'll be able to put more emojis out there. Just a fun way to liven up the chat a little bit. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment, and have yourself a great day. Thank you very much.